All right. Ready? I'm gonna start.
Okay.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to K-Drama Hangout, your weekly review into your favorite Korean dramas, episode by episode. I'm Sarai, and with me I have Melody and Kat.
Hi.
Hi.
So today we will be reviewing The Scholar Who Walks the Night, also known as Pamul Konun Sombi, episode 7 and 8. So if you missed our review on episode 5 and 6, please check out the link in the description box below.
All right, so in episode 7, Young Sun attends to Sung Yul's wounds by using medicine from a plant in the sash that she used to hide her chest. He remains unconscious until the evening and wakes up to Young Sun next to him, trying to resist the urge to bite her. On the flip side, present-day Myung-wi, a.k.a. Hye-rong, attends to Gui's wounds in his lair and informs him that there is talk of him around town. She later sees Sung-yul and entices him to follow her home as a way for him to know where she lives. Meanwhile, the prince is devising a plan to inform the public of his hidden identity as Forbidden Quest, even though his advisors oppose it. And Young Sun, wanting to see Sung-yul again, dresses up as a girl to disguise herself and meets him, demanding to know his feelings towards her as her father sneaks a peek of them. In episode 8, Young Sun's father remembers Sung-yul killing Prince Sadong's advisor and fears for his daughter's life. He demands that the family leaves immediately. Sung-yul tries to make preparations to tell the prince who he is and finds out about the prince's plans. He hides himself behind the chair and talks to the prince. The prince wants to see his face, but Sung-yul demands his trust. In that moment, the king enters the room and tells the prince that Forbidden Quest is Young Sun. Meanwhile, as Young Sun and her father get ready to depart, they are stopped by the palace guards and taken away. Being framed, the episode ends with Young Sun, her father, and other men involved being tortured until they confess about being Forbidden Quest. Young Sun's father can't take his daughter being tortured anymore and reveals to them that she is a woman. This makes her free of being Forbidden Quest, but the dual identity will automatically sentence her to death. So, from these two episodes, what were y'all's oh my gosh moments?
Okay, so I have to say I had a lot of OMG moments in episode 8. But I feel like episode 7 was setting me up for those moments.
Yeah.
My crazy OMG moments were when, I kind of figured this, but when the king found out that the prince was Forbidden Quest, like he already knew, and I knew that he knew, but I was just like, what is he going to do with this information? What's going on? And I was kind of blown away a little bit by that, even though I already knew it was coming, but at that time it was unexpected for me.
Yeah.
So that was one of my OMG moments, I think. There are a lot of other ones that were already mentioned in the summary. But I'm really like, I don't know, I'm blown away by the fact that the king already knew that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what is he going to do, because he said to Gui, oh yeah, I'll give you the prince, my grandson, if I don't come up with the Forbidden Quest. So how is he going to come up with the Forbidden Quest if now we know that Young Sung is a girl? Everybody's been revealed that she's a girl. So she can't be Forbidden Quest. Yeah, she'll be put for death, but for the crime of Forbidden Quest, she won't be. So they would have to pin somebody else. So I'm trying to figure out what his plan is, because I'm assuming he's not all for Gui. I'm hoping he has a little bit of heart in him to be for, like, the prince, Yeah. So I don't know, but I thought that was really
his son up. But I think what the king was planning was that he didn't know that Young Sun was a girl, so he was making her, aka him,
fall down for it.
Yeah, making him, quote unquote him, Forbidden Quest, so that Gui would be satisfied that Forbidden Quest was taken out, and he wouldn't have to sacrifice the prince, knowing that the prince was actually Forbidden Quest. But now that she's revealed a girl, like, that throws a wrench in the king's plan. So that's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I just remembered another OMG moment. The whole plan for the prince to come out about being Forbidden Quest, like, I knew something was gonna go wrong. But
Yeah.
it surprised me when they said it was gonna be Young Song that took the fall. Like, you know, as you said, being framed.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that it went that way because I didn't expect that, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely knew something was going to go wrong with the plan because we're only like on episode 8 and we still have a lot more episodes to go. So that's how I keep track. I'm like, it can't be happily ever after right now, you know? So there's going to be a lot more going on. So that's what I thought about. I'm like, yeah, I can't finish right now. So.
Kat, do you have any oh my gosh moments?
Mine were mostly the same as Sarai. When Youngsung's father like had the flashback memory of like the day the Prince Sadong died,
Mm-hmm.
and it showed how like he recognized Sonyeon and everything like that. Like it really like surprised me, but at the same time, like it made me also question like maybe he knows, like Sonyeon knows, like the people from the past will recognize him, and maybe that's why he also doesn't want to show the prince. He just wants the prince to trust him because in his mind, like he's already saved the prince once, so he wouldn't hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
But the prince is still like very hesitant. So like that was like a moment that I was kind of like, he saved the prince. Like I feel like it's really a big drama about good and evil even more now because one person's constantly saving people but despising themselves for it.
Yeah.
Because they also have to like survive on themselves. But I don't know. Most of it's the same.
I had the only two that like comes to mind like super quick. It's one of them is actually the same as the last recording that we did, where the prince has, you know, another scene with Young Sun, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so cute, like in love with her. It's so cute. And it just makes me sad that he's the second lead. But and then my other oh my gosh moment was after Young Sun and her dad had been captured and they were being like confined or held in the cell, and he sees Sung-yul walk up, and he recognizes Sung-yul, right? And so he's screaming at the top of his lungs at this guy who's not even doing anything to them. Like, he's just standing there looking at him like, dude, why are you screaming at me? And, like, the whole time I'm like, oh, my gosh, shut your mouth. Like, guards are going to hear you. Shut up. And sure enough, obviously, here come the guards, and, you know, he's already, like, disappeared since then, but the dad is still, like, freaking out because he just saw the vampire that killed the other guy from, 10 years ago, and so he's still like, oh, like screaming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, shut your mouth. And I'm curious as to where they hid her and her dad, because the king told Gui, don't worry, I hid them somewhere where a vampire can't find them. So I'm wondering where he took them to, like, hide them to torture,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, so when recording Korean dramas like this, the directors usually call out a good take by saying Prince or a bad take by saying NG or no good. Which one would you give these 2 episodes?
Mm,
Melody?
I definitely give 8 for sure a print, because it just like it gave you a little bit more flavor, but not the full meal, obviously, because it's only episode 8. But
Mm-hmm.
but it's still like it piqued your interest, and like you saw the journal again, and you saw the other half of that box that the prince is looking for, and like you see just little gems that are like pulling you forward, that keep you hooked in it. So I definitely give 8 a print. 7, honestly, I don't really remember what happened from 7. And I don't know if that's because I feel like so much more happened in 8. So, I mean, I guess you got to print 7 so that I can, like Sarai said, be built up to 8. Um, but I don't really have any specific things from 7 to make it a print or an NG.
For me, as I had said before, like episode 7 just gave you just everything you needed as a foundation to lure you into episode 8 and everything that's taking place. So, I mean, in that sense, I'm going to give both of them a print. Especially, of course, episode 8 has all the action, and I'm a big fan of the action. So I love plot and action. And episode 7, I would probably review it though, print but review a little bit to see how could we made it better. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just set you up for 8, because if I skipped 7, I probably would have been so confused by the time I went to 8. So I'll
Yeah,
print both.
that's how I feel like when Sung Yul was like taking out the guards to get to her and her father that was in prison, and he just like and all like 10 of them were down. I was like, now that's how a vampire should fight.
Exactly.
That's what I was expecting whenever he was fighting Gui, like something more intense than him just getting his butt handed to him. But yeah, I straight up said that's how a vampire should fight. Thank you.
Actually, I only remember episode 7, which is like completely opposite from y'all. But I think it's because I fell asleep in episode 8. And it's not because it was boring. It's not because it was boring. I was just like, it was at the time where like I blinked, and the next thing I know, it was morning and my alarm was going off. But from what I remember from episode 8 and episode 7, I would give both of them a print. Just because, like, I really do like where the story is heading, and I think now that the people know that Youngsung is a girl, which we've known for like a while, but it's like one of those things where only we know and only like a couple of characters know that in the story. I think now that everyone knows, it's gonna kind of change, because I feel like the prince is gonna try to step up and save her because he's like gonna be like, no, I'm the real person, blah blah blah, and that might get him in trouble with Lee since he's supposed to like take over the king's spot later. But I don't know. I like where it's going, and so I'm gonna give both of them a print just because I'm excited to see where episode 9 and 10 will continue on with this story. I feel like there's a lot of different directions that I can now go into, so I'm excited. So let's take some predictions. What do you think is going to happen in the next 2 episodes or within the rest of the show?
So I think I have a prediction, and I think that, okay, the scene where the prince went to go visit his mom,
Mm-hmm.
and then modern day Myung-hui, or Hyeong, or whatever you want to call her, right? She is, like, I guess, one of the ladies there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so she gets introduced to the prince, who I know she knows is the prince, and yeah, I predict that something's gonna happen there because the mom really likes her.
Mhm.
And then also she's like, oh, I wish I had a daughter like you, or something like that, and that she's gonna try to hook herself up with the prince. And anyway, she's working with Gui to become
Yeah.
with the king, like
Yeah.
she's working on that side. So I think all her actions so far have been very greedy. So I really think that she's gonna really push for a love with the prince or a little something with the prince.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. I think that that's gonna happen definitely.
Go on, especially in the next couple of episodes. Like, yeah, I do. I agree with that. I had forgotten about that scene because it was like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it was really short. It was really short.
That was an oh my gosh moment too. Now that I think about it, because like she walked in, and I was like, what? But yeah, I don't know that my predictions have really changed yet. Because I mean, we still see that Young Sun's father has the other half of that box that the prince is looking for. So I still feel like Young Sun is actually Jin. She was already living as a boy, and so the prince doesn't realize that she's actually Jin.
See, that's where I'm lost. Cause I'm thinking in the same direction as you, Melody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little like, okay, so if she was Jin, right? Jin's a boy. Okay. So how all of a sudden did she become a girl? I understand like a guy, like a girl playing the guy, and getting away with it, but I don't think that the prince, even though he was younger at the time, would not know the difference between a girl and a guy. I don't know. It's really weird, and I'm not sure how she could be Jin just because of the gender situation. But other than that, I feel like, yeah, that would make sense, except for that. So I don't know.
I can see how it's possible because, I mean, when you're young, when you're between, I mean, before you hit like 7 or 8 years old, you're not really thinking, oh, this is a boy, I'm a girl, or I'm a boy and this is a girl. And also, like, at that age, she wasn't like developed or anything yet, and so she could probably pull off being disguised as a boy if for some safety reason at the time. Because still, I mean, that one line that her father said in episode like 4 or 5, like way back there, he said, I'm going to keep this journal hidden so that she can keep living as my daughter. Like, and so I'm like, that makes me feel like she's not actually blood related to her father because he said, I want her to keep living as my daughter. So, like, that still, like, sticks out in my head, too.
Yeah, I just think I agree with everything. I just think there's something totally off that I'm missing. There is a piece
There's still a huge piece missing, for sure.
Because I'm trying to build the pieces in my mind, but I can't predict that that's gonna, happen. I don't know. Yeah. I just gotta keep watching.
I know I said some of my predictions earlier, how I think the prince is gonna like try to step in and save Young Sun, but I'm actually like fully behind you, Melody, now on the fact that I think that Jin is Young Sun. And the reason why is because like Jin's father was killed when all of the like Prince Sadong and all of them were killed because he was tied to the prince. So I think that Jin was already being either forced or maybe she was just always dressed up as a boy just to like save face. So that way like the father would be able to teach her the different things since they worked in the court. And he didn't want her to become like a slave to Glee because I feel like if she was a female, she would have eventually become a concubine or something of that sort because she like her father was there, so she would have been somehow involved. So I feel like because her father knew about Glee already, obviously because he was working with Prince Adong, that he dressed her as a boy so she could begin acting like a boy and she would be treated like a boy because. And then like whenever like the whole issue happened and he was killed, and like the prince hid the prince now I guess like underneath the building, he told Young Sun's current dad like watch him, be sure he doesn't leave. Well, like you stay quiet, and the dad is like that's how the dad ended up seeing Song kill the prince because he had already turned into a vampire and he was trying to go after his own child, his own son. So I feel like he like ended up taking Young Sun in and like changing her name um, so that there wouldn't be any tie and like we wouldn't be able to find her or anything like that. And especially because at some point whenever he is back in the house, I think it was in episode 7, like he started trying to bury or burn the diary.
Yeah.
And the second pair, the match, the thing where the prince had one for himself and then he gave Jin one. Mm-hmm. Well, he had the pair. He had that set that was given to Jin. So I really do think that Young Sun is Jin, but I'm only like kind of assuming like how they ended up doing that because that's what makes sense to me logically. However, dramas are not always logically naturally sound, so who knows? But yeah, and I do also agree with you, Sarai. I think that evil Myung-Hwi, current modern day, is gonna like try to slither her way in like a snake and try to figure something out. And I have a feeling I'm not gonna like her pretty soon because she's gonna turn into like the evil character that no one likes. So I feel like that's where
that part very well too.
Yeah, she does. So I feel like it's happening.
She had. I mean, this is a little side note. She was in level 7 civil servant, in which Sung of 2 p.m. is in, and oh my gosh, that was my highest second lead syndrome drama that I've ever watched. And so she's trying to get with the second lead, and I'm like, no, you can't get with him because he's got to get with the female lead. Like, leave the second lead alone so he can get with the female lead. And so I didn't like her from that, but I felt bad for not liking her from that because she was actually, like, she wasn't a bad person in level 7 civil servant. But she was trying to get with the second male lead, and I didn't like that. So, yeah, she does that part. She plays that part well.
I still love her from Boys Over Flowers. She was the best friend, and ever since then, I've always really liked her. But now that she's actually playing the part where she could become evil, I know she's acting really, really well because, like, if I don't like you based off a character, that means you're, like, actually doing really well. So, now that we have our predictions out and everything's ready, that's the end of our episode for now. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to follow any of us, we will post our stuff down below, so check it out. And yeah, don't forget to come back next week for our next review for episodes 9 and 10. And until then, keep it dramatic. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Share, make sure and share, subscribe and share.
Okay, we're live.
Oh, boy.
Gotta get your yawn
Hey,
down.
that's contagious. Don't do that.
Oh, crap.
We yawn.
Okay.
It's going around.
It is.
We're
I'm
done.
so tired.